Hey everyone, today I'm talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 1. So, what I want to do is I want to get into my overall thoughts on the show, then kind of the stuff I liked and didn't like. Um, so, you guys know last year I did a review of the very first episode, which they aired on CBS, and it felt very much like a kind of the first two episodes feel very much like a two-part story, but they kind of a two-part prequel to the rest of the series. So what they did was they just took the first episode, put it on TV, and then said, "Oh, you want to see the rest of the show? Oh, you got to pay up for CBS All Access," which I thought was pretty disrespectful to fans in the U.S. considering in other countries you can watch the show on Netflix. So there are a lot of fans not happy about that, me being one of them. But even in that review, I said I was open to watching the show at some point down the line, and I did cave and subscribe to CBS All Access just to watch the show because I had heard it had gotten better. And so first of all, the show. Let's see. My thoughts overall. The show was a mess. It was certainly entertaining at times, and there were some interesting ideas at play, and definitely some things I liked. But overall, in terms of writing and plotting, I do think it was a mess. So let me talk about in terms of coming from a Star Trek fan, because a lot of Star Trek fans have expressed have had the arguments of that this breaks canon and a lot, and the technology of Discovery does definitely look far more advanced than anything in the TOS era, considering that Discovery is set 10 years before then. In some respects, it looks more advanced than anything we got in TNG. We got the hologram technology and things like that, and of course, the kind of breaking of canon or playing fast and loose with it, kind of pushing the boundaries of it, was annoying. The idea that Spock had an adoptive sister that we never knew about, that Sarek had, I guess, kind of a better relationship with her than he did his own son, which I don't particularly like. I don't really see the need for Sarek to be in the show, but yeah, I mean, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So let's talk about the character of Michael Burnham first off, because I don't like this character. A lot of people say that she's a fantastic character and love her. I don't get it. I really don't. The show starts out, and they introduce her, and as a viewer you're like, okay, this is the main character, I should like her and root for her. And then by the end of the episode, she mutinies against her captain, and then by the end of the next episode, she starts a war with the Klingon Empire. And she even told her captain that this Klingon, Tecumseh, if you kill him, he will become a martyr, which will surely unite the Klingon houses, and start a war. But if you capture him, he'll be defeated, and there is no honor in defeat, so the Klingon Empire will just basically write him off, and you may avoid war. And once she sees, obviously there are spoilers for this, so I'm getting into that now, but obviously, she sees her captain get killed, and then she's just like, oh, and she just kills Tecumseh. Like, she doesn't even think about it, basically. She just kills him, doesn't even think about what she said. I mean, it's just a dumb decision that doesn't make sense when she just said, don't do this, to her captain earlier, and she does it. And, she ignites a war. And I understand they want to go for that redemption storyline, but it's not well set up. It's not well written. And that might, in terms of her character, not liking her character, it might have been okay if they actually made her character kind of interesting, but the problem again with her character is, on top of that redemption storyline they want to do with her, she's still finding out who she is, and she's discovering who she is, between her Vulcan and kind of human halves, even though she is all human, her learned Vulcan half basically. And while that may be interesting to see her journey, it made it very hard to relate to her as a character, at least for me. And so just watching it, I never really cared about her character, and I think that's a flaw in the writing. Another problem I have with the show is that, watching the very first episode with my mom, we're both Star Trek fans, we didn't like that the crew was kind of arguing with each other, that, it didn't have, like, the crew didn't have this disciplined nature of Starfleet. And, even when they get on the Discovery, Lieutenant Stamets, I think that's his name, the kind of the guy that works in engineering, he's openly arguing with his captain, and it's just, I don't know, it just, I don't like that. They're in Starfleet, they need to be a bit more structured, a bit more disciplined, and we do eventually get that, where they may disagree with each other, but they still work with each other for the common good toward later on in the show. But starting out, it was not great. Of course, you have the character of Harry Mudd that they introduced, and honestly, it's like, I don't understand why they needed to bring Harry Mudd into this. It feels like they want to do their own thing with the show, but then they're like, they want to shove something in your face just to be like, oh, it's Star Trek. Remember, it's Star Trek. And some of the things just kind of feel a little forced, and it's, I don't know. But, there was one scene in that time loop episode that really made me cringe. And it is, where they're having a party in the mess hall, which, it's fine to have parties on Starfleet ships. They've done it before, but this was like a college party. They had music blaring, lights going on, and it looked like people were drinking, like they were gulping it all down and then slamming their cup down. Like it felt very much like a college party, and it's like, this is supposed to be kind of a military type vessel. That stuff didn't work for me. And then you bring in the melodrama of Michael Burnham and Ash Tyler. They like each other, but they don't know how to tell each other, and it's stuff like that I didn't particularly find all that interesting. Although I have to say, like, once they got into the mirror universe stuff, that I was actually starting to enjoy the show. It had a cool twist with Lorca that I didn't see coming, and that was when the show was very focused and very, well done, in my opinion. And then they got back to their universe, and things kind of went back to how it was, and ended with a very underwhelming finale. They just so abruptly ended the war. It made no sense to me. It still doesn't. I mean, you have the character of L'Rell, who, in the season finale, they go through this whole convoluted plot of, well, we're gonna, what was it? They were going to jump into like a cavern network within Kronos, and then that way they'd have like a drone where they could scan where military targets were, and that was where they were going to attack. But then they're like, oh no, we can't do that because we're better than that. Starfleet's better than that. But then they found out that that wasn't Starfleet's plan at all. They were actually going to send a bomb into Kronos to ignite some of the volcanoes to just basically destroy the entire planet. and then so they couldn't stop the bomb from getting in there, but then they were telling Laurel, this Klingon that they had captured, that hey, you can blackmail all the Klingon houses into uniting, and as long as you end the war, we'll give you this. So they gave Laurel the detonator basically, and she blackmailed all the houses to unite. And then like the next scene, the war ended. The war was over when a couple episodes prior, Laurel was basically telling this Starfleet admiral that the war would never end. That that the Federation would have to conquer them for the war to be over. But then she's like, no, we're done. We're going to unite the Klingon houses and no more war. It's just it felt very contrived. It felt like they were just trying to rush through the Klingon war. They didn't want to do that anymore. And then at the end of the finale, Burnham gets pardoned for her crimes, and I think that is completely and utterly ridiculous, because she did commit mutiny. She did start a war that resulted in the deaths of thousands of people, and she's gonna have to carry around that regret, and those deaths are gonna be on her conscience. But it's almost like, well, you stopped the war that you started, so all's forgiven. It's like there's like no punishment at all from Starfleet towards her, which doesn't ring true to me. At least drop her rank down to ensign, where she has to start over again or something. But no, they can't do that, because they gotta have a happy ending on the show, and then at the end everybody gets medals, and it was just kind of corny and cheesy, and that's another problem with this show, that they don't really know what kind of tone they want. The show starts out with them on this desert planet, lost, and walking around. Burnham is talking to her captain, saying it's like, well, the ship won't be able to find us, but the captain has been walking them around in the outline of the Starfleet emblem, so their footprints make out the Starfleet emblem, so the ship can see them. That's stupid. It was meant to be funny and cool, but it comes off as stupid and cheesy. But then by the end of the episode, she's committing mutiny, and by the end of the second episode, she's starting a war. And it's like those tones don't. It's very inconsistent in tone, and then it's like they want to do that kind of epic space opera stuff, but then and they have like all the action and stuff, and then it's like relationship drama and like some interesting sci-fi stuff, and all of it pushed together doesn't exactly fit together all that well. That's not to say it can't. But I just don't think it works very well in terms of how they wrote it. So I think there's a lot of inconsistencies there. And then the cliffhanger for the finale, where they come in contact with the Enterprise, and then the show ends and they play the original series music. It just felt so out of place. Like, I don't know. It feels like, as I said before, it feels like they're trying to do their own thing, and then, but they don't want to push it too far, and then they keep going back to, they're like, oh, it's Star Trek, but then they want to do, we want to focus more on the characters, we want to do a relationship drama, we want to do this and that. We don't care about breaking canon when it works for the story that we want to tell. But then, oh guys, Star Trek fans out there, we got the Enterprise. We got the Enterprise. Listen to the original theme music. It just feels like kind of they're going back and forth by wanting to do their own thing, but then wanting to appeal to Star Trek fans, and it's like kind of a back and forth thing. And to me, it felt very disingenuous, and and out of place. I didn't like that. So overall, there were some certainly interesting elements at play. The tardigrade thing in the Spore Drive was interesting. Although there is some debate on whether they stole that idea from a game called Tardigrade, which came out, I think, like a year and a half before Discovery or something like that. So, and apparently some of the characters in that game bear striking resemblances to some of the characters in Discovery. Definitely go check that out. It's kind of a weird story, but yeah, it's just a very inconsistent show. Not fond of the main character, and the show can get better in the future, but I don't know if I'm really interested in watching season 2 after this. So I think I might just leave it be. But what do you guys think? Did you enjoy season 1 of Discovery? Definitely let me know down in the comments below. And as always, like the video, share it, and subscribe. Till next time.